right, Malcontent. I am back. Nothing happened on their side. I actually just lost internet connection on all three of my devices for a moment. I had lost internet connection just on all three of my devices at the same time. So I'm good and I'm streaming. And I will kind of move in to follow a little closer. And somebody did speak up for me. I know some people on SPN were asking, hey, is anybody speaking? So yeah, somebody vouched for me. If people watch my streams, they know that I have pretty strong opinion when it's like, you know, you can't stream, you can't stream. I get very much about respecting the faces of protesters. With that said, which is why I set up the poll cam. Well, that kind of makes two of us. I don't either. But we'll see. That's just me because I'm still kind of sorting everything out here. All right, so let me explain to you kind of what happened. There's been kind of this action that's been going on for, this is the fourth night of it. They kind of, what I've been told, like Omari was saying yesterday, there is this kind of like a cat and mouse game that's played for a couple of hours. They're moving they're moving really fast. And I got one cord not cooperating right now. And the next time they stop, I'll be able to reset here a little bit. And you know, just to be clear, I wasn't knocked off the air or anything by any of the activity here. I lost internet on all three of my devices just for a couple of seconds. So there was just a glitch in the matrix.
Get in the fucking street!
All right, I got rid of the one cable. All right, there we go. I think I'm now to a point where I kind of have everything where I want it to be, as best as it's going to be at this point.
Come! Come!
So they're calling that police are here. And so something, of course, I don't want to be is directly between. So I'm going to move from the side. Yeah, SPD is here. There's reflections on the glass, so it's a little hard to count. Plus, then there's 2 vehicles up front. I actually think what there is there's a little loop, but I actually think there's 2 civilian vehicles that are in front of the police. I don't know if the police actually realize that. You know, it's funny when, not funny as in ha-ha funny, but when I was driving up from Auburn, and I just flipping radio stations, and it just seems whenever I come across a Rage Against the Machine song when I'm driving into the city, is when things happen. And Guerrilla Radio is playing on the way up from Seattle. So right now, the group is moving, and I'm going to move with the group. My experience has been I'm better off staying with the fringe of the group. I kind of experienced firsthand when a person drove through, there was a person that drove through the group. I was kind of asked to keep back, and SPD afforded no protection to the media that was there, both mainstream and streamers. And so this just creates this weird dynamic where you're like, well, I guess I'm safer here. I realize it may not necessarily make a lot of sense. It's a small vocal group, and they've been doing this action that you're seeing here for the last 4 nights.
That's what is happening right now.
And so what they kind of just do is set up these barricades, move. There's a ton of construction that's going on in Seattle, and so there's just construction barricades everywhere. So what you've got, if you can see, is SPD is up here. Yeah, so people, I just kind of jumped on, and then there was, there was questions of whether I was going to film or not. And so we're shooting live. This is Seattle. We're on Capitol Hill. And we are very, very close to the area, you could say, formerly known as CHOP. Although I've said many, many times, I think 50 years from now, this part of Seattle will be called CHOP. And people will be like, why are they called CHOP? So SPD bicycle officers have lined up. One kind of keeps shining a flashlight in my face. The protesters have walked backwards. I am going to, again, just position myself so I am not, as best as I can, directly between the protesters and SPD. So I don't know how well you can see up the street there, but SPD, about a half a block up from me, and they are walking slowly. The protesters are about a block from me now and walking much faster. And so, again, having filmed and being in these experiences, I actually feel more secure with the group of protesters than I do with SPD. And that's just from my experiences of the last 2 months.
Oh, what's up, Julian? How you doing?
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm watching this.
Yeah, what?
And so I'm just going to keep moving with the group. They're actually moving really fast. I sincerely hope SPD doesn't tow my vehicle. Gosh darn it. Is my Verizon off? Oh no, it's not. It's just me. All right. So the move back chant, sorry about the shakiness. I'm working on it. For the love of God.
They're moving! So close. Hey! City warning, pizza! Anybody need a pizza?
Go to north of Washington.
I don't know why when I hold my pole in my left hand, I kick it with my foot all the time.
Ooh, they got a big truck! Shield to the back! Shield, move back slowly!
So Seattle Police is following the group.
What are we doing out here, gentlemen? What's good?
SPD is following the group.
Why are you flashing the light? That's stupid. That's a warning signal, dumbass. Shining the light gets you shot, dumbass. No cop, no prison, no abolition, no cop, no prison.
So definitely making sure that SPD sees my press badge. And gosh darn it, if there's any moment for the set screw on this thing to come loose, this is the worst possible time.
Hey! Keep it moving to the next one. Next one. Spray paint! Foot cloud! Foot cloud! Foot cloud! Foot cloud! Foot cloud! Foot cloud! Foot cloud!
So I think what I'm gonna do,
You about to lose your job, fucker! You about to lose your job!
so I'm gonna go ahead and get ahead of this group. They're moving really fast. And then there we go. And then I could sit up here.
Stupid bitch!
Seth, I definitely wasn't bullied. I didn't feel bullied. And again, just to clarify, I did not shut down my stream, nor did I I have 3 devices. Internet fell on all 3 devices for a couple of seconds. It's just an issue with Verizon and TracFone. And I think TracFone uses the Verizon network anyway.
He's recording, get him! I'm in the middle of the river.
They're not talking about me. I'm cleared and I'm following the directions that I was given. So SPD kind of continues to follow about a block away. I know people are probably looking for a little more explanation, but my head's on a swivel. I think you can understand why. Because one of the other things here is, right, they have no kind of car brigade, there's no bike brigade. So not only do I have to have my head on the swivel because of SPD, if things start to get a little salty or spicy, but I have to have my head on the swivel in case somebody decides they want to drive through this group. So I would say SPD now is a good couple of blocks away.
Pepper spray some more 9-year-olds, some nurses, huh? Some real is a fucking truck. Do you want to get picked up right fucking now? This fucking way.
Don't do it! We're following her!
I figure probably a 50-50 shot that my truck gets towed, and I'm going to be really pissed if it does, because I parked really doing the right thing. What y'all didn't see was I was just driving, and I turned the corner, at a light, and I turned the corner, and boom, there was the group, and so there was a series of driveways on the correct side of the street. And because you got to understand, right? They're not going to go, oh, it's the malcontent, right? They're just staring into whopping big headlights. So there were driveways to the right, so there was nowhere for me to park. So I parked on the left side. So I'm basically parked facing the wrong way. So typically just a ticketable offense. But if SPD wanted to be really icky, I guess they could tow the vehicle. And so again, the nice thing I like about the camera is you can't see people's faces. They're using umbrellas to block anyway, but if anybody's been watching on the cam, they know it's not necessary. Well, that probably didn't go to plan on their part. I guess they did go to plan. We're basically this should look like a familiar intersection if you following CHOP.
If you just a black, but you're a fucking terrorist. But if you're against fascism, you're a terrorist. That in itself.
It does look like there are maybe 6 or 7 SPD cruisers. I know there's also a pickup truck over there, and now there's a pretty significant contingent of police officers that are moving in closer. And they're actually moving a lot. The police are moving a lot faster now. And I want to get out of the intersection. SPD is on one side of the block. The protesters are on the other side of the block. And now SPD is moving in the other direction away. And again, the protesters are moving fast. So I'm going to go and catch up with them. Forgiveness to Omari, I'm going to steal is funky scale. This is 50-50 on the funky scale. If it's a little jiggly and bouncy, it's because I'm almost in a jog. Right now what I'm trying to do is just bring you this balance, bringing you the story, my own safety, and keeping track of where SPD is. You know, my experience from July 8th, July 9th, still pretty fresh in my mind. So if you're just tuning in on the stream, we are in Seattle. We're in Cap Hill. We're on the edge of CHOP. SPD is maintaining about a block and a half gap. The banging you're hearing, nothing's being broken. The banging you're hearing is, there are these plastic bollards that are flexible, that separate the travel lane for the cars from the bicycle lanes. And there's an individual that's just kind of slapping each one as we walk by. So I have not seen any active vandalism or destruction. I've only seen acts of civil disobedience. So SPD is continuing to move up. The people that you see here are that are walking up, they're part of the group. SPD is moving pretty quick. And what I think I'm going to do, which runs counter to what I probably should do, but I'm going to cross because I had essentially no exit route in that other location. So I was essentially up against a fence. Same thing, I want to maintain an exit path.
Move back slowly.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to monitor SPD. SPD is already out clearing the barricades that were put up by the group. The group is kind of moving backwards, and so I'm going to go ahead and catch up with the group. Things are just low here. That's why I'm going to let the group kind of separate up a little bit, and then I'm going to move back in. I have a couple of people behind me, and hopefully if something goes on behind me, somebody's going to go like, yo, something's going on. Okay, if I turn.
Thanks, Laura. Great mind, man. You want some revolution?
Okay, we smell you. Okay, someone got good taste.
Okay, again, they're moving. They're coming around. They just said they're coming around.
They're coming that way.
They're coming from that way.
Yeah.
Finally, jeez, steady tactics, man. Tire them out. Don't let them win in quarantine.
Nobody's acting as if there's no such thing as a black million. We're well aware that our life does not matter to level.
Sorry about that. There we go.
What are we doing? We're going in that direction. Let's go!
Yeah.
Go! Fuck that!
So, at the risk of sounding like I'm supporting or non-supporting, however you want to view it, I totally agree that I don't know if you heard somebody say, like, man, tactics, I'm tired of this. You know, tactically, this isn't a great spot to be. So I definitely agree that we should be moving out of this area. And again, what's happening is people are just kind of banging on like phone poles and signs. So that's kind of what's happening. So SPD is about a block and a half away. Behind and to my right. So that's a low, those are low power lines. Wow, they're running.
Stop posting out there, man. Oh no.
I think what'll happen on the next pause, I think I'm going to lower the pole a little.
Hey, are we gonna move this couch or what?
I don't know, like where did this couch come from? There's like, you're like, I mean, sometimes you just see stuff in Seattle and you're just like, what the heck? Where did this couch come from?
If you spread them out where they have to walk further, they can get them out. Yeah.
I need 2 people. I need 2 people.
Nothing is being broken. Again, it's just an act of what I would call civil disobedience. So, just showing again, unfiltered. Moving, they're moving fast again. I'm glad I jogged. Kind of, I don't know if you can see that or not. Kind of ironic. Okay. You know, and I'll say it again, because when we're moving this fast, I can't look at your comments. And again, right now my focus is kind of keeping my head in a swivel, keeping up with the group, trying to show you the story, and monitor my own personal safety. Not necessarily in that order. But you know, earlier there was some discussion, concerns about me filming, but haha, there you go. I know that happens at Arc Great, whatever. That's the first time I've ever like truly jammed up into a tree. I know so what happened was I have 3 devices with me. All 3 devices took a dump. And so there was just a glitch in the matrix with Verizon, that's all.
Alright, look inside. Look inside.
We got somebody behind. We got somebody behind.
Look inside. Come.
Yeah, they still ran over all those blocks.
So if you're just tuning in, we're in Seattle. We're in the Cap Hill area. I wouldn't say that we're in CHOP of the Cap Hill area now anymore. But we're just kind of zigzagging through the blocks. But we're in the Cap Hill area of Seattle. there is a group of 40, maybe 50 people. And I think, you know, again, apologies to Omari, but I think his description of a cat and mouse game. We have a cat, and I've watched a cat play cat and mouse, and there is like this feeling of like cat and mouse.
Are you screaming?
Yeah, they know.
I know. Can you do your best to try to keep like 3 signs out of it?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try my. You guys are moving fast, but I'll try my best. I totally get it. I'm just trying to get you guys the story. That's the important thing. This is
I just came out for a walk.
they're moving quick. And again, just want to move quickly through this intersection. So SPD is here again. This is actually the closest they have come to the group. Again, I kind of feel like there might be a civilian vehicle mixed up in this. But this is the closest that SPD has come to the group. So what's happening now is
What is that for? Why? That is stupid. Hi, am I on camera? What the fuck you doing, man? Hi, how are you doing? That is invasive as fuck.
so.
Why are you doing that?
I think
You are feeding yourself by doing that. That is stupid.
I think SPD.
You are not protecting yourself.
I think SPD is streaming. That's not being addressed at me. They're talking to someone from SPD.
What are you doing? Do y'all not have any training? Have you no training? This is stupid as fuck. Where's the crimes at?
Y'all are lucky that I'm feeling a little bad today.
Where you at? I have better training than y'all at. I'm not even certified, bro. Really good job. You're not doing anything right now. You're being stupid. What? You're being dumb as fuck right now. You really are. Talk to people like you're not some kind of sense. Stop acting like you're
So
Is this really what Seattle's best has? Oh, y'all really Seattle's finest. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow! They have one.
Not only are all
Right here.
masters all months of power,
Get them right here.
So for those of you just tuning in, we're in Seattle. We're in the Capitol Hill area. I was asked not to mention streets, but I mean anybody who's watched any stream in this area in the last 2 months knows exactly where we are. There's a group. Right now there's a group of probably, I would say, about 30. What I would presume, thank you. What I would presume is that, so, well, I don't know what they just said. It's a little hard to hear. It sounded like if you start acting dangerous, you'll go to jail, but I'm not 100% sure.
Eyes on you, bitch. Everybody sees the fucking cowards you are. Look at those. Pathetic cowards. Your children. You are so small.
So, some people have moved into the park.
You scared the fuck out of me.
Go home! Go home! Go home! Go home!
Keep that nice smile on your face. Like you better than us.
Gerald, actually, that's a great, I'm just reading some of your comments here. Gerald, that's kind of exactly what was going on. It was, that's a great description.
Hey, you finally did us a favor. You cleaned up our shit. How's it feel? You smiling about that?
Why would you make yourself a target by shining a big old light at folks? Infrared being boom.
Yes, it makes yourself a target every day by this. So telling them that they would prove the same with everything you're saying to them, they're saying exactly the same to you.
I know.
So,
But they should have better training than that, is what I'm
But
saying.
they don't, which is why you're out here, which is why I don't understand why you're
Okay, what is the purpose? All right, what are you perceiving that was going on? You walked a couple
You mind if I join?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, cool.
So we walked.
Absolutely, you mind, or absolutely I could join? Sorry.
can join.
Okay.
We walked a couple blocks, okay? So what is any protest, what does anything actually achieve?
Nothing, that's why I'm saying why you're doing it.
Okay, so what suggestions do you have, ma'am, for a better, more constructive means?
When the social contract was broken, it meant free for all. What are street codes?
I mean, if you're advocating for all out, I don't personally mind. I'm neutral.
I'm neutral in the whole situation because America was the one that plumaged, raped, pilgrim, did all that shit. So when people talk about racism as a learned taught, so is violence.
Sure.
So I understand that. I'm not saying this is cute, this is peaceful, this is whatever. That's great, but what are you achieving every night coming out here doing this peaceful protest when you guys, like, you get what I'm saying?
Who would say you guys?
They're all
Well,
different.
I
They're all
say you guys
different
as a
speeds.
movement
So there's
because one,
something for
I'm
everybody.
bad at pronouns. I've been in a lot of trouble.
No, it's not that. I'm not affiliated personally.
Okay, I know, I've seen you, and I was like, wait, I've seen you.
I'll take one.
I know
Thanks.
you don't give a fuck.
Appreciate
Not like
it.
You don't give a fuck. You
I'm
care
down
about
there.
me.
Thank you.
You're two-sided this time.
I care about people as a whole. I mainly is here keeping people safe. That's my whole job.
Period. I just want to know what is this purpose of this? Because this is not ICE. This is not ICE.
No.
This is not ICE. We know that. This is not Black Lives Matter.
It's people, it's youngins learning to speak up for themselves. That's what I mainly say.
Exactly, which I give to everybody that's doing it. But what is the purpose of banging on the street sign, making?
Well, I know. That's what I was trying to tell them. That's what I'm out here for, to tell
Okay,
people
good.
better shit.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, yo, that is pointless. That you're literally
Thank you.
bringing attention to yourself for no
And
reason.
I'm okay with attention
Yes.
because attention is notoriety, attention is awareness, attention is what you want to bring to something.
Exactly.
A point, though, you have to bring attention to something. So as they're not Black Lives Matter and they're not ICE, they're not, so what are they out here? Because those cute little flyers that are on Instagram and shit like that everybody has access to. So it's not really secretive. You're not like trying to meet up in this little mass. So what is the purpose of this? Because hold on, sorry.
I'm not trying to.
No, not at all. Because when I hear people saying those demands that are not from here, they're just hearing it from other marches. When I hear them saying Black Lives Matter, but I know they're not for Black Lives Matter, it makes me feel like, are you a chameleon?
Well, some of them are involved with multiple things.
They can be, but when you are saying something, you are identified as that. Just like not all Black people are bad, but we all get.
Does one movement own a chant though?
No, that's my point. But you're saying it because of that movement. The same reason
Is
that
it?
the reason that whole saying all lives matter was because Black Lives Matter. You get what I'm saying? That's the same way. I'm okay with them saying the demands.
Well,
I don't
no
give a
justice,
damn.
no peace goes back years upon years. I go back
And-
with protests,
and
and so
once you
does
say
these
that,
streets
but
are
we're not
our
doing
streets.
it.
Yeah.
But no
That's
justice, no
back
peace.
to the WTO.
That's literally hypocrisy because you are giving them peace at every moment.
Well,
What
that
I've
hasn't
seen
always
for
been the
real?
case.
yeah.
But I've
That-
seen day one with all the last couple months, not day one, but the last couple months, you know, many of these protesters all stemmed off of certain people leading, like Boots, for instance. People didn't enjoy that, you know what I'm saying? And now we got, you know, strong leaders like Tati and them they do their type of thing. And now I haven't seen many everyday direct action marches. There's a lot of people I've seen recognized from, you know, this, that. They all come for different reasons. I don't feel like
clowns?
they I bring up the everyday
Just,
march because at the beginning they
moving from
were
Medic
just part
One.
of a group. They were and now they finally have a thing that they're doing. Exactly. And now these people are kind of doing that, but in a different
They're
way.
doing a more.
Which I like
they're
because
more
they
of a
went
direct.
to even Portland and started saying that chant. Even Vallejo has taken their chants back with them, which is what I like.
This is an offshoot of shit because some people disagree with some of the tactics that others do. For example, the Everyday March has its own stuff, and they told some people, and so some of these people, more on the younger side, want to do more of a direct action.
Y'all want to walk
And they
over
know
this
that that's not always.
Y'all want to walk over this?
It's up to you.
Nigga,
It's up to you.
I honestly, this is all the stuff that I honestly wanted to. I thought there would be something. I don't understand this movement. It is something that says it happens every day.
Well, not everything's a movement.
Not
and
movement.
That's what people misconstrue.
Well, this is a movement. Everything, every single thing, a part of it is a part of a greater movement, which is what I want everybody to understand. This is why I say don't change the narrative, because as much as there's so many different narratives being spoken right now.
I've said there hasn't been a direct movement the entire time.
Yeah, you may be one person, but literally the entire world right now is moving. So there is a movement going on. It may not be in your mind, in your reality.
Because movements are organized, and that's the beauty. Well, that was the struggle that Occupy, and that's where I go back to the Occupy moves. That was the struggle that they dealt with. Is, you know, the organization, and a lot of these people are just young and inexperienced. Honestly, there's not enough elders out here speaking.
But the same people you praise are the same ones that bark at the elders, and that's why the elders.
I didn't say I praise them. Oh, I've chastised a hell of a lot of shit. if you ever hear me, oh, trust and believe that, I'm the first one that is critical.
Yeah, you were definitely critical of this is tactically in a bad. We were down in that alleyway. You weren't happy, and I wasn't happy either.
You know, that's what I'm here for, is to keep people safe and to get them to think.
Yeah.
That's been my thing the entire time, because my ass is yet to be arrested throughout this whole thing.
I was arrested before all this shit happened.
It's because you don't probably go down an alley where there's only one way in and one way out.
Well, if you do that, know how to get out.
Yeah.
Or also become a threat.
Yeah, that's the other. Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I'm literally an officer. That's why you see me just here. I'm here.
Right.
They don't mess with me. And it's an understanding, because you messing with me, that is dumb on you.
Right.
I'm not actively going out of my way to mess with y'all. Don't mess with me.
Because they say it, you should make sure you're
You know, a lot of them are they're young, they're inexperienced, some are acting impulsively and emotionally. They haven't understood what systemic shit means. People will say that, but they don't really understand what that really means.
Right.
You know, when someone says Black Lives Matter, for example, a lot of people, they're looking at only one iota. They don't understand that shit from economic, political, social, cultural, and a hell of a lot more.
Right.
And so,
lack of generational wealth, inequality in schools,
hiring policies,
college policies,
imprisonment policies.
judicial system,
Yes.
criminal sentencing, parole system, redlining, so on mortgages, so it's harder to get loans. And then you can't build generational wealth.
Moving up in companies.
Yeah.
You know, lack of education on entrepreneurship is a big thing. Because
Absolutely.
If you don't have entrepreneurship, well, people are just, you know, they just teach people, just get a job, okay. Yeah, that doesn't create wealth. As you mentioned, generational wealth, that creates wealth.
Right.
You know, that's why I do praise guys like Floyd Money Mayweather Jr., LeBron James, you know, Conor McGregor, where they starting off, you know, putting that for future generations. That's what John D. Rockefeller did. That's what Andrew Carnegie did. Henry Ford.
Right.
You know, Cornelius.
Ma'am? Oh, I don't. Ma'am? I'd love to chat with you later.
And so, but some of that I tell people is you got to get educated on your own. You know, you can be like, oh, with the school, you know, or they'll say, oh, this stuff wasn't taught in history class. No, the stuff is there in history books.
Right.
If people are bothered to look and read.
Right.
You know, and okay, you know, we got one of these. You can Google things. You can go to libraries. You can go to University of Washington and research.
Right.
You know, there's so much information there. In fact, sometimes too much information.
Well, that's part of the issue, right? Is like we have unlimited knowledge of the world in the palm of our hands, literally, and we watch cat videos and TikTok.
There's nothing wrong with cat videos and TikTok, but you can balance yourself out. We all.
But that's the problem, is that people don't balance it out, right? They're just like, hey, let me read this informative. Oh, look, cats.
Or they'll be like, this is one thing I can't stand, like on Facebook, for example. People will be like, oh, they'll try to send me something where they'll literally have an article. Didn't bother to read the article, they just go by the headline.
Oh, totally, all the time.
Especially scientific articles. I'll read through that and I'm like, dude, did you read your article and vet it? Because it's saying exactly what I already said on the subject.
Right.
People assume that when you draw counter to the popular narrative that you're not educated on the matter. And it gets pretty insulting because, especially if you would expect someone to know you and know when you are knowledgeable in the various areas. It can't be, oh, I'll just listen to experts. Really? Okay, so what makes that person an expert? Has that person been in the field 40 years actively doing that, or is that person just an academic?
Right, right.
Archaeology is always gleaning new shit, for example.
Right. Well, look, when we were kids, there were 9 planets. When we were kids, there was such dinosaur as a brontosaurus. There's no such thing as a brontosaurus now.
Well, the thing about dinosaurs, I've always been critical of these millions upon millions and see fossils don't last long.
All right.
They don't last so long. From a pure biological standpoint, do you know how long the longest lasting embalmed mummified bones in human history last?
Don't know.
46,000 years.
Okay.
How on earth are bones in the topsoil going to survive for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years?
Sure.
With erosion, with natural disasters, with all these other things that I can do, with warfare, and you name it, with people building on top of structures. And I'm sitting here going, and the same dating methods used for these things have been proven to be inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
From a pure logical standpoint, that makes no sense.
That's a good, nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice one.
Thanks.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
What is this real quick?
Well, it's kind of what we're talking about here. I think you would.
If people don't need any more help, let's
What is
move.
the direct question? What is what specifically?
If these people do not need any more help, let's move.
Like what?
You got people out, many of them young, many of them have been inspired to come out and act in the march and to disrupt things. You know, a lot of them are young and inexperienced and have a lot to learn, but they've been inspired a lot. You know, they're sick and tired.
You guys
have a
let's go, let's
generation
figure
just like back in the 60s that are sick and tired of bullshit. And there's a lot of it that goes on, and they're told one thing, but then they see something else done entirely. SPD out here was following, they came in 8 deep. 8 deep for what?
Oh, yeah. So we saw the cop cars.
Yeah. For what?
Right.
For a bunch of citizens.
I wouldn't be surprised, probably.
I think that's a cop.
Is that SPD? Oh.
Say thank you. Say thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy, for my big boy bike. I love it so much. I love you, Daddy. You're welcome. Fucking ungrateful bitch.
Yeah, SPD bike unit is riding by.
All of us. Everybody.
Yeah, SPD looks like they're coming in from a couple of different sides on bikes. There's a bike patrol that kind of went down. Everyone that was talking to me just scattered. Not scattered, but everyone's like, hey, you know, maybe we should move.
We can still hear you squeaking. Get the fuck off.
Well,
Get the fuck out of here.
Yo.
Quit
That was the
drinking.
exact same officer that was up here earlier. The exact same one.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, the job is on time. Hey, one more.
I have no idea if people being stupid.
it was an interesting conversation.
Ho,
I'm kind of bummed that SPD.
in the park.
No pigs in the park. Go the fuck home.
I'm a little bummed that SPD showed up and messed up the conversation.
You're wasting your time, damn it. Ridiculous.
You been drinking tonight?
Y'all are pathetic fucking pathogens.
Scum of the fucking earth.
Hey,
We're gonna chill in here.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's not showing up at all
no,
where we are.
no.
Okay.
I mean, basically, all you're just seeing is the
The black.
no, the building thing there. You can kind of see
Okay.
because I'm not heading out all that way.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
And I wasn't planning to head that way. I don't know if people remember, it was a different situation in shop. You know, Brad Fox got his phone taken from him. There's not anything here that's like that. But in the big scheme of things, it just kind of gets back to, I want to bring you the story, but I also want to balance my own personal safety. And just kind of going back into the dark corners of Cal Anderson just doesn't feel like the smart thing to do if I'm out here as a solo streamer.
Wanted to thank you.
Yeah, absolutely,
Thanks
man.
for respecting us and
Of course.
staying with us.
Yeah,
We're just trying to stay vigilant, stay safe, and
yeah.
thanks for respecting our.
No, absolutely. You know, again, I just want to tell the story, right?
Sure.
And I
Thank
figure
you
there's
for that.
probably got to be a couple of people who've watched the stream before and stuff, and you know, I'm just here to tell the story.
Yeah.
So.
And you know the drill, yeah, and
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you'll see me out here again. I'm going to be doing the indigenous, the Black Indigenous Mark tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll be with you guys tomorrow, but you'll see me again.
For sure. And I told some of the organizers that you're cool and that you know what to do and that you're trying to keep us safe as well. So
Yeah, exactly.
they're
Right.
all-
I'm not here with any agenda other than to tell the story. Right. I support Black Lives Matter. I support that, but you know, when I'm out here with the camera, it's neutrality, right?
Yeah, gotta film it all. Just we gotta keep it safe.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys kind of, you know, I said a couple of, you go back and watch the stream, you'll hear me saying, you know, hey, I want to keep up with the protesters because I actually feel safer with them than I do, you know, with SPD on my back, right?
So I definitely want to look through that, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I've eaten enough tear gas and pepper spray and dodged enough rubber bullets, right?
It's become part of our palate, huh?
Yeah, it has. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way. All right, man, have a good night. All right, there you go. It's, you know, it's about having that neutrality, and it's about being respectful on both sides. And I've talked with people in SPD. and I've talked with officers. If you go back in some other streams, you can find, and I've had equally respectful conversations. And some people might be just like, screw you on that. And some people probably go, screw you, that I just had a respectful conversation there. If you're, now I get to find out if I got towed or not. Because as I said, and the only reason I parked cattywampus is, again, I turned the corner and they were just right there. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to come across as a threat, because first and foremost, not a threat, but, they're not going to see who's behind the wheel. All they're going to see is headlights and big vehicle just turned on the road, like right at them. So I just parked immediately. And the expedient thing to do was to park on the wrong side of the road. And it had nothing to do necessarily with that group of protesters. I would have, man, mad respect for Eric. It's got nothing to do with the protesters. If I had turned and saw a big group of people on that road, I'd have done the same thing. Here's SPD on bikes coming by right now. Yeah, I guess you'd say it's one big selfie stick. Everyone likes pole cam. That was SPD. And again, being neutral in the field opens doors up. When you open those doors, I get to tell you the story. And so that's the benefit of it. So what's going on probably now, I would speculate, SPD is probably circulating. What's kind of been happening here, and it appears like this is what happened similar to other nights. They play this forgiveness to, again, Omari. Sorry, Omari, but I really liked your analogy. Let me bring the camera down. Bringing you down to the ground, so to speak. Bear with me here. Let's see if there is a spot. Let me do this. There actually is a spot. I could sit up and talk for a couple of minutes. I suspect I didn't alert moderators because this was just like, boom, I'm going on the air. So I have no idea if there was moderators on the feed or not. So things maybe might have just be a total shit show in the comments. Yep, brain bucket, because you need these things, and not the only gear that I have with me. Anyway, the guy that I was speaking to, I didn't want to get his name. I didn't know if I have a feeling he would have given me his name, but I'm trying to be respectful. It was an interesting conversation. I think he summed it up well, and that's why I just kind of let him talk. I don't want to get into the dinosaurs thing. People know I'm pretty scientific and analytical, and don't judge the rest of the conversation on that little rat hole. Don't. Because I actually agree with just about everything he said. I think what you have, I noticed some faces, and that's why I said a couple of times, it's like, I know a couple, and that's probably why they let me go along. There was one person in particular who was speaking, and I can almost guarantee you, I'm good, how are you? I can almost guarantee you that that one person there, because I've spoken to her numerous times, was somebody that probably recognized me. And so I have a feeling, definitely one of the organizers, and I have a feeling that is one of the people that probably gave me the hall pass tonight. So the good thing is that I'm a recognized face, I'm in. I wrote earlier about certain actions to support, certain actions I won't. I think tonight you saw like the two polls, right? If you go and you watch the two streams tonight, you saw the two polls. You saw eulogies and quiet anger over police brutality and family members that were killed, and a lot of hostility directed against a City of Auburn police officer who, City of Auburn has had 5 shootings, 5 people killed, 1 officer, 3 of those, and 65 use of force complaints against them. I think it's a pretty valid question with a record like that. Like, dude, why do you still have a job? I think it's a really valid question. It's like, boy, you have a lot of bad luck. And we saw that, right? And there were articulate speeches and grievances, and things were done in a very calm, civil way. And the police response there seemed, as I panned the camera around, the number of police officers around for there, it was pretty ridiculous, right? SWAT team on the roof of the building, and it just was like, wow, this is really weird. And you saw that. And then we come here to Capitol Hill and you see this game of cat and mouse, and I can't stress it again. I saw nothing that I would call like acts of destruction or acts of vandalism. Yeah, they were pulling down trash cans in the street. There were no bricks being thrown. I heard people like clunk, 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 and somebody made the comment that this was like a Hong Kong light version of gluing bricks in the road. That's exactly what they were doing, only no glue. There were some bricks, because there's tons of construction going on in Seattle. I know somebody, that's all been debunked. The whole pallets of bricks thing, totally debunked. There is tons of construction that's going on in Seattle. And the bricks were just put in the road to try and slow down SPD that was following along in their vehicles. The guy that was talking, I generally agree with that. There's some faces I recognize when I was closer to the march. And I know that these are people that want more of direct action. You know, there is passive protest, there's active protest, there's passive action, there's direct action. I find if I were to put myself in a category, I would say that I am involved in active protest and passive action. I'm not going around breaking stuff. I'm not one person tipping trash cans into the street, or more than that, right? But I am out here in a role, and I've said many, many times, I approach this as a journalist because I feel that there's an obligation. If you come out here with a very specific agenda, it's like, look, you want an agenda? Go watch MSNBC or CNN or Fox News. You don't have to watch me. They'll tell you what to think. I'm not out here to tell you what you think. Now, I may bag on Trump supporters and I may bag on conservatives because you guys come in on the feed and you just say horrible things. There were people, grieving parents in the other feed tonight. Those were grieving parents who buried their kids. And some of the comments were horrible. Like, what else am I supposed to think? What else is any rational human being that doesn't think binary, things good, bad, black, white, ugh, ugh? What else are they going to think? They're going to think you're a troglodyte. And that's being kind. You don't help your cause. You think, oh, it's funny because you're safe behind the keyboard. And then the part that cracks me up is, you know, it's like, well, I'd kick your ass if I was there. Really? Really? You know, one, I'm a pretty fit guy. Two, at the end of the day, I'm a journalist. I really don't want to get in a fight, but I'm out here. Like, I've had to dodge rubber bullets. I've sucked in tear gas. I've sucked in pepper spray. I've helped wounded people. I'm not looking for a lollipop. I'm not looking for a cookie. But I certainly got a lot more courage than a lot of the keyboard warriors that make their comments. And a lot of you keyboard warriors, you're not even US citizens. You're just in a troll farm somewhere. And we know that. And I explain this like every night. Because Facebook, we go in and we can look and see, we get the geography of where people watched. And like every time we get a feed where we get hundreds or over 1,000 people, I'll see 30, 40 people from Russia watching. I don't have 30, 40 followers in Russia. And then if I pick up, and like sometimes I may wake up, like I could see the geography of my followers. And what happens is the number of followers from Russia will creep up. It'll be 5, 10, 20, 15, 30. Then I wake up one morning and number of people following me drop by like 20. And oh, look at that. All these Russian followers are gone because they got purged by Facebook. And so this is the other thing. It's like you're getting spooked. Some of the, you know, when I mean spooked, I'm using that kind of as the military term. You know, people that are just like, yeah, right. You're just getting sucked in from somebody in Romania or Lithuania or Russia or Iran or China. And they're just, you're being what they called in the Cold War, a useful idiot. Yeah, that's you. That's you, useful idiot. Anyway, yeah, a little fired up after that. Definitely a little bit of adrenaline going. Feels good to be alive. I'm gonna go burn a cigarette on my arm now. No, I'm not gonna do that. You know what's funny? Somebody was talking about this. Total sidebar. People like come up to you, you know, it's 2020, you're like, dude, you got a cigarette? And like, here like in Seattle, I think like less than 20% of people smoke. And you're just like, dude, I don't smoke. And when someone asks you for a cigarette, you're like, dude, I don't smoke. They all look at you the same way, like, bullshit, I know you got a pack of cigarettes. And it's bizarre. I don't know why people do that. Anyway, it's a total sidebar. Let me commit some self-abuse and look at your comments. Yeah, the Auburn speeches were powerful. My truck is still here, yes. I would be in panic at this point. My truck is nearby. Obviously, for my own protection, I'm not going to show what vehicle I drive or the license plate number. I've already had people try to dox me. No, I'm not a socialist. You know, Pat, I hope you're not asking that question flippantly. I hope you're asking it, if you're asking it with true intellectual curiosity, I really appreciate it. If you're asking it to be flippant, come on. And unfortunately, in the comments, the things get lost. I am not a socialist. Long-time malcontents, people that have followed me for years, will tell you there are some things, I'm very conservative in my views, very conservative. There are a couple of things where people are conservative are like, dude, I don't understand how you think that way, and then think about all this other stuff the other way. There's some things my view are pretty far to the right. There's some things that my views are very far to the left. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's in the middle. If you go to malcontentment.com, go to December of 2019, there is a piece that I wrote called Welcome to Gotham, Seattle. If you read Welcome to Gotham, Seattle, I think you'll get a better insight into what my politics are. I would describe myself as fully independent. Welcome to Gotham, Seattle. I make a very clear declarative statement that I'm leaving the Democratic Party. I'm done. And I blame Dow Constantine for that. I am no fan of Dow Constantine at all. Yeah, he was the straw that they was like, I'm done. I'm over. I'm done. I'm so over it. Done. But I don't want to explain it doesn't mean I've magically become a Trump supporter either. So I consider myself independent, lean left. But again, there's some things that I definitely am on the right. And look, I don't have all the answers. There's people who are like, oh my God, you should run for office. I haven't heard that in a long time. But kind of before this whole CHOP thing, people in local, you should run for, I'm like, first of all, I would never put myself through that self-abuse. Holy crap. And if I had the answers, if I really had the answers, I'd already be in office somewhere doing something. So Pat, I hope that answers your question. I hope it was a legit question. Even if your views are on the other side. I've had, actually, it's funny, I wish some conservatives, and I know some of the moderators could probably comment that, because I always say, it's not just me, we are legion, there are several malcontents. I'm probably the biggest face because I'm the one out here running around with the camera. If the other moderators who may be on could confirm this, there are some interesting conversations that pop up every now and when conservatives come on and reach out, and they'll say things like, I don't agree with anything you say, but, you know, I kind of appreciate what you're doing, or you know, I appreciate you at least giving me the insight. And we have great conversations. I always come, you know, right back and go, you know, hey, thank you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you reaching out. And we've always had great conversations. There was a guy, I felt so bad. He kept kind of pushing the line, and then he would pull back, and then he would push the line and pull back. We had a couple amazing conversations. And then he crossed the George Soros line. And That's a no. Because if you drop the George Soros is paying you, that's anti-Semitic. You're being an anti-Semitic. I'm Jewish by faith, and if you throw the anti-Semitic card down, you're out. Like there's no appeals, there's no nothing. I'm not putting up with that crap. And I was bummed. He was like, dude, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to show you the door. I wish more conservatives in the comments. I don't know why they're just not willing in the comments to go like, look, I have a legit question, like Pat's. And Pat, I'm assuming you're a conservative. I don't know. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are a socialist, just like, am I on your team? And then it may go the other way. If I didn't pass your religious purity test the other way, I still say you're part of the problem. All right, enough of that. Seth. I'm not sure who Seth was. Yeah, Jason, you and I have chatted, and I know you probably lean a little more to the, you certainly lean more right than I do, but you're definitely an independent thinker, and Jason, I sincerely appreciate you. Yuval, send me information on that protest or somebody else. I don't know if I can be at that. I have work. I run a marketing agency, and I have work tomorrow. And I've agreed to do the Black Indigenous Mark. But send me the information, and I'll see what I can juggle. I don't know. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Oh, James, why did you have to go there? No, I'm not ignorant about Soros. I'm still waiting for my meeting request to the world domination meetings, and I still haven't got a paycheck. If Soros is paying people, someone hook me up, because George Soros, you owe me hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want my money. He ain't paying people. We talk about you folks in the world domination meetings. I've already said too much. I'm a Democrat that voted Republican. Are you talking about the national election, Pat? Be nice to Pat. Serious. I don't want to see, I would love to have this conversation with Pat. And Pat is at a disadvantage because I can talk, and Pat can only respond like 20 seconds after I ask a question. So I'm really asking you, malcontents, on both sides, let's have a conversation, but be respectful and be understanding that Pat is at a major disadvantage in this conversation, only because she or he can't speak. I don't know if she, he, or out of respect could be they. And Pat, if you go by they, I apologize for not acknowledging that on your possible pronouns. All right, so Pat, so you couldn't support Hillary in 2016. We're not going to beat that dead horse, all right? Because there's no point in beating that dead horse, right? It's almost 4 years ago at this point. Here's my question to you. How do you feel about that vote, your vote today? Folks, be respectful to Pat. I just saw the little pop-up, Pat, while you're typing your answer to that. I wasn't treated badly. I have been asked from both sides not to film. I've had the police tell me stop film. I've had protesters telling me to stop film. I've had, do people remember Becky and Karen? Old school, and that's not the name I gave. That's the name you all gave. Y'all remember Becky and Karen, like back in early July? It was like a Saturday Night Live sketch. It was one of the rare moments on my feed where there was total bipartisan support. Everybody from the farthest left to the farthest right of my feed was like, who the hell are these two girls? Like, what the hell is going on? And like, people were coming up to me afterwards on that thing, like, dude, I was watching your feed from from this protest, and you just handled those girls magnificently. You guys remember Becky and Karen? Like, people come up to me all the time and say, don't film. There are legit concerns because there are streamers that just show people's faces. I do agree with the guy that was talking. Maybe that's who Joey was referring to as Seth. He may have recognized voices. And Pat, I'm going to get to you. Just let me close this thought out. You know, they advertise these things. It's no kind of like secret that it's going to happen. And as I explained, and this is why I went with the poll cam, it's one of the things I loved about poll cam when I was watching it, is that it is very, very secure for everybody. It's secure for me, it's secure for protesters, and it is secure to an extent for the police. Because it shows everything in a really wide angle, so you can kind of see the whole story, but IDs are protected. And by having that really wide angle, one of the things I learned from the early days in CHOP, having a high wide angle, you can kind of really go back very quickly and go who escalated where, what, when, how, and then you can tell the story, because then the camera just tells the truth. All right, Pat, let me get to you now. Pat, you're going to vote for Trump. I'm shocked. Why? You know, just why? There's no other way to ask it. Be nice. Serious, everybody, be nice. We're having a conversation. Pretty sure what this video sure isn't faked or dubbed over. Seven p.m. Friday and Uncle Lights. That might be a maybe. That might work. Black Indigenous March typically starts at 5. It might end at 8, so I might be there an hour early. But it's going to be in the same area, so that might be a maybe. And people be patient with Pat, because Pat probably doesn't hear my question until like 20 seconds after I ask it, and then she needs time to type, she or he. Pat, could you just let me know, she, he, they? Because I can't, I'm on a phone, so all I see is a little tiny postage stamp, little round circle that just looks like a squiggle. I just want to make sure that I'm calling you the right thing, that's all. It's out of respect. I go by he, him, by the way. You like his policies? Okay. You're typing in short answers, so I'm trying to, you know, and I get it. You're probably answering with your thumbs. You go by she. Thank you, Pat, and a great grandmother. Congratulations. Okay, so you're 77. What do you think is his best policy? Trump's best policy. What do you think is his best policy that you support the most? Hopefully someone like just doesn't walk up to me and all of a sudden like, you're a Trump supporter. It'd just be terrible. Like, no, we're just having a civil conversation here on the internet. I think we might see a lot of protests either way. Everybody, like, I can kind of see, you know, I can kind of see people are edging onto the line. Please don't edge to the line. Seriously, don't. Waiting for Pat. I hope we didn't lose Pat. Manufacturing jobs did grow. However, manufacturing jobs, if you look at the data, did not grow in any of the battleground states. If you look at the data, they were either flat or they lost jobs in all of the battleground states. Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, you know, and let's not forget, the Carrier factory ended up moving anyway. Foxconn plant in Wisconsin. Never happened, but they took the tax breaks. Those are two things that just immediately come to mind. Some of the jobs that were maintained in Michigan State really hasn't really much to do with policies in the Trump administration. It had a lot more to do with UAW going on strike and forcing a couple of automakers to back up on some of the plant closings they were making. Not discount, as I said, true, jobs went up. It's true. But did the jobs go up in the states that needed them the most? And the answer to that is not true. You can go look it up. It's linked. It's weeks ago, but look it up. Waiting for Pat still. I'm wondering if we lost Pat. We might have lost Pat, or I don't know. Maybe she. I guess we lost Pat, or she doesn't want to answer the question. It's fine. Or maybe Pat wasn't Pat. That's possible too. Don't know. Well, I can tell you right now, as a small business owner, we're not incentivized. I can tell you I'm a small business owner. I've been one for 4 years. That's a big heap of stinking poo-poo. I would love to be incentivized to stay in business. Believe me. And I can tell you that just about everyone in the small business community is biting their nails at this point with UAP and Triple P over. The way Triple P was written, if your business had a loss in 2019, even if you created an accounting loss, then you're not eligible. Now, if you show an accounting loss in 2019, but you show a profit in 2020, then by your tax returns, your business grew. So guess what? You're not eligible in this round. Well, guess whose business had a lot of capital expense at the end of 2019 on the advice of his accounting? Hi, how you doing? Yeah, that would be me. We weren't able to make those changes. I had to cut staff. And this isn't just, again, my focus group of one, because I talk to many, many business owners owning a marketing agency. And it's a little mixed right now. There's some things that are picking up, but there are other aspects where people are just still kind of like month to month. Not month to month in the sense, oh my God, I'm gonna be out of business next month, but they're month to month in the sense of, I don't know what's gonna happen next month. So we haven't had an old school conversation like this in a long time, but the reality is, I have a feeling it's pretty freaking late. Yeah, it's pushing midnight. And I think the malcontent needs to get home. I have to put gas in the truck. Fair enough, Jeremy. You may be in a different industry than me. Certain industries are doing well. Like, for instance, if you talk to people that are in the video production, the motion picture industry, they can tell you they're starving to death. If you are in cleaning, sanitation, medical supplies, are going to tell you business has never been better. If we weren't able to pivot into kind of doing a bunch of streaming because we have the technology to do all this great streaming work and we had all this stuff in place and experience, if we weren't able to pivot to that, we'd be in a world of hurt. And I know a number of like small boutique marketing agencies that have folded their cards. And I know a ton of, brick and mortar, restaurants, etc., and they're super struggling. So, there's macroeconomics and there's microeconomics, right? And I think you have to look at the big picture. I think we can get lost if we just look at things at a very, very small scale. The Small Business Administration is predicting 30% of U.S. businesses, that's almost 13% of all businesses in the United States, will be out of business by June of 2021 because of the recession that's ongoing right now and the reduction in GDP and the loss of business. That's the SBA's estimate. You can look it up. Those are scary numbers. The other number that I saw as a business owner that made me go ick is, you probably heard this stat. 50% United States is small business owner, 50%. It's down to 42% now. So 58% corporations, small businesses are getting squeezed. That's not good for America. And how much of that is presidential policy and how much of it isn't? Because remember, let's go back in Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine. Boy, did I just show my age. They were reruns. They weren't making them when I was a kid. Well, they did the movie, so most of you should know who Mr. Peabody was. We go in Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine. You know, let's remember when the stock market was circling the drain and there was a Republican in the White House at that time, because the stock market's not. The argument was that the president doesn't have a lot of impact on what direction the stock market goes. Likewise, when there's a Democrat in the House and the stock market was growing, again, the argument was, well, presidential policy really doesn't do anything with the equity markets. And I'm just like, look, you have to be intellectually honest. Either they do or they don't. It isn't just because, well, I like this guy and so they don't or they do, and I don't like this guy so they don't or they do, right? I think it's a fair assessment. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm in a good mood tonight. I keep telling Dr. Mrs. Malcontent she should be glad. This is not a midlife crisis for me. This is very, very serious for me. But I do tell her, I says, at least I don't have a piece of 30-year-old arm candy in a foreign sports car. It's like, this could have been very, very different as my temples turned gray and where my interest could have gone. So, the other thing is that I like about, everyone looks good with the mask. Have you noticed that? Everyone goes up like 2 numbers with the mask. Now you're a 4, you put on a mask, you're a 6. If you're like an 8, you put on a mask, you're like a 10. If you're already a 10, you put on a mask, you're like, damn. Everyone looks better with a mask. That's why everyone should wear a mask. It makes you look better. That should be the campaign. You want to look better? Wear a mask. Please wear a mask. That's one thing. So we worked a wedding. And here's the funny part, and I'll close kind of with this little side conversation. It ties to business. We worked a wedding on Sunday. Normally I wouldn't touch a wedding with a 10-foot pole. Ha ha! See what I did there? I had said for years, I will never do a wedding. It was a business associate that came to me. They contacted me and they said, hey, because of COVID, they could only have 30 guests. And they wanted to have more than 30 guests participate. I say air quotes, participate. So they wanted to do Zoom. They wanted to stream it on Zoom. And they're like, look, if I want to do a Zoom for my wedding, is it just as simple as putting a cell phone up on a tripod and away you go? And then my question to them is like, well, do you want to do it simple or do you want to do it right? And they're like, I want to do it right. And I said, okay, we should have a conversation then. And so anyway, had it not been a business associate and a friend, I would have just been like, oh, hell no, I'll just tell you how to do it right. But it was like, I'll do it for you. And it was paying gig. And yeah, they got friends and family discount. And we did the wedding, and wedding guests were good on wearing masks. Here in Washington State, it's technically a misdemeanor. No one's enforcing it if you don't wear a mask indoors. I would say about 50% of the hotel guests, so not people related with the wedding, just guests in general, were not wearing masks inside the hotel. The wedding itself was outside in a tent. I wouldn't have agreed to do it otherwise. I become pretty convinced if you're masked up, and I'm actually double masked to protect my N95 because I can wash this and then I can get a few uses out of the N95 because I have this over it. And I've reached the conclusion that if you're double masked up, you're generally moving around, you're outside in fresh air, your risk is probably really, really low. I also know from my SAG-AFTRA Safe Set training that you're 18 times more at risk. Even with, if you got face shield, mask, gloves, you're 18 times more at risk of getting COVID indoors. About 50% of the people in the hotel, they weren't wearing masks. And I'm going to tell you, like, if you're an anti-masker right now, I'm going to tell you right now, people that work in those industries, they talk bad about you. They talk really bad about you. And they don't talk bad about you on what you think that they're probably going to talk bad about. It actually isn't about you're trying to kill me. What the conversation is you want me out of a job, you want this business closed, and you want me living in a cardboard box. Because, as it is, I'm only working part-time if you're like in the hospitality industry. As it is, I'm only working part-time. I barely have a job as it is now. I'm not making anything close to what I made before. And because you just won't wear a stinking mask, people are going to keep getting sick. And they could come in and say, guess what? Restaurants shut down. That's it. Done. And nobody's going to want to come to our friggin' hotel. And now I'm not going to have a job anymore. And You want me living in a cardboard box. And this is what the people in the hotel, I'm listening, I'm not engaging, I'm listening, kind of playing reporter there, right? And that's what they're talking about. So please wear a mask. It's not hard, just wear a mask. So anyway, I need to get gas. I gotta go feed the beast. Oh, and here, one other thing. If you do come to Cap Hill, Dirty Dogs Hot Dogs, they were here. I got the camera the other way. They were here the whole time. The whole time. Like when the pepper spray and the rubber bullets, and this guy was here selling freaking hot dogs. There was a day I was up here on the rail, two different days. I was up here on the rail, on the line. I call it the line. And I was on that line all day. Like, I wouldn't even leave to go to the bathroom. My bladder is the stuff of legends. And like, I could just yell over to this dude and be like, dude, I'm hungry. Can I get a hot dog? He'd bring it over to me on the line, and I'd give him my debit card. He'd bring it up. He'd come back. And, you know, I tell him when he could card, like, hey, man, give yourself a 30% tip. He's such a good dude. And they're amazing hot dogs. So anyway, the bottom line is, if you want a good hot dog, you're down here in Cap Hill. Dirty Dog Hot Dog. Their website is dirtydoghotdog.com. And the other one is, there's an amazing Korea place around here. Abu Shibu or something like that. It is on 12th. And it's basically at 12th and Pine. It's right next to the liquor store that's across the street from the East Precinct. That is like some of the best Korean food in Seattle. If you come up here, I feel so bad for those guys. They opened March 1. By the time we got to March 7, most people in Washington State, because we had the deaths that were starting in Kirkland, by March 7, most people in Washington State were like, oh, hell no, I'm not going outside. Then the first kind of phase shut things down was March 14. That's when like the schools all got the plug pulled. And then the whole state shut down March 23rd. He opened again on June 1 to basically have the Seattle police set up all the barricades. And then the barricades came down, and then he was open again for table service. And I ate in there a couple of times, and the food is so freaking good. Then you had kind of, you know, Chopped evolve into something that wasn't Chop. And then the police ordered all the businesses closed. They ordered everything closed. And I think he was closed for 10 more days. This dude needs some business love, just between everything that's happened up here. So I'm not talking about Dirty Dogs. I'm talking about this Shibu Abu or something. It's crazy good Korean food. All right, that's enough. I'm gonna go put away my gear, and I'm gonna pack up, and I'm gonna get gas. I'm gonna go home. So that's it. Be good to each other, please. I don't know how heavy like the moderators are going. It actually, this is kind of weird because it looks like people were pretty behaved. The little skimming that I did in the comments, it doesn't look like the comments devolved into a complete shit show. Man, you all were salty like 2 or 3 nights ago. It was butt friggin' ugly. You all were salty. Come on, be good to me. Seriously, right? We all want the same thing. Let me close with this. We all want the same thing. We all want the same thing. We want a good job. We want a safe home. We want good schools. We want good infrastructure. We want a government that works. We want our kids to have it better than we did. We want to leave a little something behind when we go so that our kids can get a little springboard, and we want them to have the tools to know how to use that properly so that they can springboard their next one. We want clean air, we want clean water. We want to be able to go to the parks, enjoy the sun, feel it on our face, leave some green for the next generation. I don't mean money, I mean trees. Am I wrong? Do we not fundamentally all want this? Do we not all want community, family, and love? Can't we agree on that? If we agree on that, then let's talk about the symptoms of the disease, not the name of the disease, the symptoms. Because I truly believe if we can have good dialogue, I think most people will agree the symptoms. I don't think a lot of people will go, these aren't the symptoms. Then you just get into what's the name of the disease and what's the cure. And I'm willing to bet that most people are within 50%. And we're letting people on the very, very far fringes tear us apart. Just think about it. Because it all depends on us doing the right things.